Good evening, everyone.
Use the hammer, buddy.
Good evening, everyone.
Nope, it doesn't work. See that?
That's okay.
They don't listen.
No, it's okay. There I was. Good evening, everyone.
You're requested on the dais.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to May 2nd Glendale City Council meeting. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Agajanian.
Present.
Devine.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Sinanian.
Here.
Mayor Garpetian.
Here. And may we have your report, please? Oh, no, the flag salute.
Yeah, the flag salute will be led by, well, it will be led by you actually today, unless you want to defer it to one of your colleagues, followed by the invocation.
I'd like to ask Councilmember Sinanian to lead us in.
Please join me in pledging allegiance to the flag of our nation. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. This evening, we pray for the continued health and vitality of our city. We give thanks for the citizens who give freely of their time in support of this community. We pray for the safety of those who serve to protect our great nation, as well as pray for the safe return of our men and women serving overseas in our armed forces. Let us reflect on all that we have been given as citizens and residents of this fair city and actively seek ways to always give back. We pray for all this and that our council and community be guided by the principles of fairness and cooperation during tonight's meeting and always. Amen.
Amen.
May we have your report, please?
The agenda for the May 2nd, 2017 regular meeting of the Glendale City Council was posted on Friday, April 28th, 2017 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
And what is next?
Your presentation and appointments at 3A is agenda preview for the meetings of Tuesday, May 9th, 2017.
Mayor Garpetian, members of the City Council, for next week, for a special meeting of the Glendale City Council to commence at 10 a.m., we do have Director of Finance, our second budget study session, and this will be the departmental dashboards along with the strategic goals. In the afternoon for the Glendale Housing Authority, at this time we have no business agenda items. For a special meeting of the Glendale City Council to commence at 3 p.m., we have two items. Director of Community Development. This is regarding 145 North Louise Street. This is Stage 1 Design Review. Secondly, Director of Community Development. This is regarding the implementation of the Glendale Tech Strategy. That evening for the City Council meeting to commence at 6 p.m., we have a number of consent items. General Manager of Glendale Water and Power. This is an amendment to software license agreement with Silver Spring Networks. And this is for the meter data analytics project for Glendale Water and Power. General Manager of Glendale Water and Power. This is a task order to a professional services agreement with Reichman Carton Sword. And this is in conjunction with SCAPA to help us continue conducting surveys of GWP water and electric customers. And this is through fiscal year 18-19. General Manager of Glendale Water and Power, brokerage services agreement with Evolution Markets. Chief of Police, California Governor's Office of Emergency Services. This is a forensic science improvement program and request for purchase of software licenses for the forensic laboratory. Fire Chief, amendment to a professional services agreement with Northrop Grumman Systems Corporation to modify our current maintenance agreement. Lastly, under consent, Director of Community Services and Parks, and this is a result of negotiated landscape contract of general government facilities. We have one item under action items, General Manager of Glendale Water and Power. This is the implementation of Phase 1 of the city's water conservation ordinance. And lastly, under hearings, we have Director of Community Development regarding zone change, zoning map amendment and precise plan of design overlay zone at 1012 through 1028 East Colorado Street and 311 South Adams Street. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. And what's next?
3B is proclamation designating the month of May 2017 as Building and Safety Month.
Mr. Chow?
Yes, sir. We have for you representatives from the Building and Safety Division of the Community Development Department. So Mr. Lanzafame and his team want to come on down to show you some of the technology that they use and also give you an overview about why this month is so important to them.
And we also have a few gifts for you, some paper, so when you take notes, you'll remember us. Some T-shirts.
How can we
so when
forget you? How can you ever forget you?
We don't want you to forget us. Thank you for having us here and being able to honor Building the Safety Month and all that we do in this community. We take this month to recognize that when you come to a building like this, that you have no doubts that you can get into the building. You have no doubts that you could get out of the building. The lights work. It's not going to burst into flames because we do all this quietly on the side. And so in honor of that, we also have an introduction of our newest inspector, Inspector Gadget, who is used by our inspection team to go under the floors so that we don't have to crawl under there and get it with all the spiders. He doesn't seem to mind. And no overtime. Yeah, no overtime.
No.
We saw the toy that police had for 100 times as much as we paid for this, so we're pretty proud of the fact that we're very innovative in coming up with ideas.
Yeah, but theirs has a gun.
No, theirs actually doesn't blow up. Ours probably wouldn't last that long. So thank you for having us here today. We have a lot of our team here. Ron Billings from Inspection, Tony Chris from our counter service, Celine, come on up, Celine. She's been instrumental on the May 24th. We are going to have a career fair this year. And so over under the banner, if you see the banner between the Perkins building and Municipal Service building, it says Building Safety Month right under that. We're going to host a career fair to try to introduce all the people in the community and others to what we do in building and safety and start preparing for the next generation of building people coming in. So thank you for your time.
Well, I have a proclamation for you, and first I'd like to thank you for everything you do for our city because you are the behind-the-scene people. You're not in the forefront. Inspectors are somewhat, but overall, the building and safety, the plan checkers, and the zoning people that you go to the counter, you do so much for our community. And the interpreting code is not that easy. We all know that. Everybody can look at it and interpret it the other way. Interpretation of the code is very important, and you guys are doing a great job, and I want to thank you for that. And we have a proclamation for you, whereas it is well documented that each year thousands of lives have been saved and millions of dollars of property damage have been averted through the enactment of the building code, and whereas the city of Glendale has been adopting building codes for the well-being of our community since 1913 to protect our citizens from the effects of earthquakes, windstorms, fires, and floods, and more recently, to ensure accessibility, energy and resources conservation, and create a substantial community. And whereas this year's nationally recognized effort to celebrate Building and Safety Month incorporates the themes of mentoring the next generation of building professionals, building design solutions for all ages, manage the damage, preparing for natural disasters, and investing in technology for safety, energy, and water efficiency. And now, therefore, I, Vartan Garpetian, Mayor of the City of Glendale, California, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2017 as Building and Safety Month so that we can recognize the importance of building codes in our community and the dedicated professionals of our building and safety team who are working daily to keep our community safe.
Thank you.
I'm going to hand it to you.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm going to go around and...
Large.
Come on, Jan.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh my God,
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for the gifts.
Mr. City Clerk, what's next?
Next on the agenda is a proclamation designating the month of May 2017 as Older Americans Month.
Good evening, Mayor Garpetian, council members and staff. I'm Maggie Kavarian with the Senior Services Unit, and I'm here to introduce Yvonne Longo, who's going to be accepting the proclamation celebrating Older Americans Month on behalf of all seniors who are aging out loud. And before I do that, if we can show the audience a couple of events that the Community Services and Parks Department is having to celebrate Older Americans Month.
Bring that up to TV.
On May 17th, we're going to have hashtag Age Out Loud Senior Street Fest. That event will take place at the Maryland Paseo. There it is. We are going to have a DJ, wellness booths, health fair type style booths, and raffle prizes, and lots of fun. So we're encouraging all seniors to join us at the Maryland Paseo on the 17th of May and enjoy the outdoors. And then on Thursday, May 25th, is our annual 90-plus birthday celebration. Again, we are celebrating all seniors in our community who are 90 years and older. I know our mayor last year came and attended, as did Councilmember Sinanian. And this year, our theme is the 1940s. So if you want to dress up as Rosie the Riveter or come dressed in your uniform, we would appreciate that. And that's at the Adult Recreation Center from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. So without further ado, let me introduce Yvonne Longo. She is our exercise instructor. She teaches 6 fitness classes at our community center. She's very enthusiastic and open, and we're very lucky to have her represent all that is beneficial in our community. And she is very proud to be a senior aging out loud.
Hi, Mayor, council members. I'm Yvonne Longo. I am a certified instructor. I've been teaching for 24 years and 15 years exclusively with seniors, teaching them endurance, flexibility, and to maintain good posture, all with having fun. And I am very proud to represent the city of Glendale at Spar Heights, and the people that come to me, and for me to make a difference in their lives makes me very happy. And I am proud to accept the proclamation celebrating Older Americans Month on behalf of all the seniors in our community.
Great. Just want to say that my mother is a senior. She's 83 years old, and I wish I would be that active when I'm 80. They go to YMCA every morning. After their daily swim, they go to Whole Foods and have some coffee and pastry, and after that they use other facilities that city has. And my uncle and his friends, they use ARC and other senior centers. You guys are doing a marvelous job. 41,000. Our city has over 41,000 seniors, and that is almost 25% of our population. So we need to take care of our seniors because they took care of us. So with that, I have a proclamation for you that reads, whereas the population of the city of Glendale includes over 41,000 residents ages 60 and older, and whereas we acknowledge that what it means to age has changed for the better, and whereas the city of Glendale is committed to supporting older adults as they take charge of their health, explore new ways to remain active, and focus on the independence. And whereas the city of Glendale can provide opportunities to enrich the lives of individuals of all ages by involving older adults in the redefinition of age in our community, promoting recreation and community center involvement opportunities that support independent living, providing outlets for older adults to express themselves this month at hashtag Age Out Loud. Hashtag Age Out Loud. That's a cool slogan. Now, therefore, I, Vartan Garpetian, Mayor of the City of Glendale, California, do hereby proclaim May 27th as Older American Month. I urge every resident to take time during this month to acknowledge older adults and the people who serve them as influential and vital parts of our community. Mr. Agajanian, big round of applause, please.
Maggie, what age does older Americans start at?
Okay, 60.
It would be considered 60.
Oh, well. Then we have the perfect councilman to do it.
You're not too far behind us.
Oh, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
And you see, I told the mayor that I was going to take offense if he gave it to me to give to them. But I think it's wonderful what you do for seniors. Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gladly done
Thank
it.
you all.
Thank you. What is next, please?
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is at 3D, Mayor's Commendation to the AYSO Under 14 Girls Soccer Team, the Western State Champions.
Does this 3 here mean we have 3 seconds? Is that what the 3 means?
You're good. Go ahead, you're fine.
Honorable Mayor and City Council members, first I want to thank you for having us here today. My name is Gary Barsagian. I am one of the coaches of this wonderful team, assisted by Coach Lawrence Glaza. These young ladies here represent Region 88. They were the 15 players we picked to represent our region in the Section All-Star season, which started after our regular season. During the Section All-Star season, they played 10 matches, and they finished the regular season with a record of 9-1.
Wow.
They went on to the playoffs, and they won the local playoffs, winning both matches. That gave them the right to go and represent the local area in what we call the Section 1 playoffs, which is most of Southern California all the way up to Vegas area and up to Bakersfield. They were able to play very hard, became the champions of Section 1, and from there on we went to Carson City where the Western States Championships were held in the month of March. And out of all the 250 teams in the U14 age division, that they said goes from where? Alaska to Mexico, right? Out of 250 teams, this is the team that has won the championship. This is the first time that a girls team has done it from the local area. We are very proud of them, not because of only their individual accomplishments, not only as their accomplishments as a team, but how they represented the local community. They represented us very well. Sportsmanship, great soccer playing. We wish everybody could have been there to see them. So I want to represent to you the Girls U14 Region 88 Western State Championship.
What is the name of your team?
Glendale.
That's great. That's great. So how many games did you play altogether? The first, the sectional was 10 games, then playoffs.
10 games, total of 16, right? Yeah, 16 games.
And
so
you were 15-1?
15-1.
Oh my God.
How long have these girls been playing together? From when you
No,
were
it's-
small together, or were you just thrown together this year?
During the regular season, we all play for different teams,
Okay.
and then they come together in the All-Star season to form a team. Coach Lawrence and I have probably coached probably most of these girls, if not once or twice or 3 times, since they were 9 years old.
Yeah, that's the beauty of our region. The Glendale's Region 88 is the largest, second largest in the nation. We have 3,400 players, 400 in waiting list, and the largest. Now we are the largest. Okay, I stand corrected. Now, Aldo is hiding in the back, but this is the beauty of it. These kids don't play together every year. Some of the smaller regions, their teams are like clubs. They come up every year and play together, and they become much better. But to having a team, to pick players from different teams and put a section team together and win the championship is just amazing to me. I coached AYSO for the last 12 years. I'm not as good as my friend here, Gary, and not even half as good as him, because these coaches are very dedicated. They go scout these players. They go watch their games. They practice with them. They do everything for these players. So,
No, we don't take checks either.
So I'm very happy that this is my first day of, my mayorship in this dais, and I'm getting a gift from AY. So I really appreciate that. And I have a commendation for you. Is there any
Well, I'd like for them to introduce themselves and how old they are, what grade you're in. I think it's fantastic to just kind of bring them all together like that as well.
Hi, I'm Dana Ryan, and I'm 14, and I go to Rosemont Middle School, and I've been playing soccer since I was like 4 with AYSO. So.
Nice.
Yeah. Good for you.
Hi, I'm Ruby Chavez. I'm 13. I go to Wilson Middle School, and I've been playing soccer since I was 4 years old, too.
Hi, I'm Alondra Costa. I'm 14 years old. I go to Pacoima Middle School, and I've been playing soccer since I was 5.
I'm seeing Olympians here maybe, huh? One day? Next? Okay.
I'm Emma Glazer. I also go to Rosemont, and I've also been playing since I was 4. So.
Don't be shy.
Hi, I'm Isabella Briggs. I'm 12 years old, and I go to Porter Middle School, and I've been playing soccer since I was 6.
Hi, I'm Andrea Samperio. I go to Roosevelt Middle School. I'm 14, and I've been playing since I was 7.
Hi, I'm Natalie Serrano. I also go to Rosemont, and I've been playing soccer for 7 or 8 years.
Hi, I'm Eva Roscoe. I'm 14. I've been playing soccer since I was 4. I go to Pilgrim School, and actually my U4 team was with Dana.
My name's Alyssa Miyamoto. I'm 13 years old. I go to La Cañada, and I've been playing AYSO since I was 5.
Hi, I'm Devin Medina. I'm 13, and I go to Rosemont Middle School. I'm Ashlyn Cuesta. I'm 13. I go to Rosemont Middle School, and I've been playing since I was 4.
I'm Elizabeth Yim. I go to Rosemont Middle School. I am 13, and I've been playing since I was 7.
I'm Megan Parada. I'm 13 years old. I go to Rosemont also, and I've been playing soccer since I was 4.
There you go.
I'm Michelle Roth. I go to Rosemont, and I've been playing since I was 8.
All right.
There's one more young lady, my daughter Christine, that's on this team, but she had to be on her school's East Coast trip. They left yesterday. I told her I'd FaceTime her, and I think she just turned her phone off. She didn't want to do that.
Well, I have a mayor's commendation for you. To AYSO 14 girls soccer team, Glendale Region 88, in recognition for winning the 2017 Western State Championships. Your team's hard work and dedication in becoming a championship team is motivational and influential in the Glendale community. Thank you for being a shining example to all. On behalf of the City of Glendale, I wish you continued success.
Thank you. Bella, come here. So she was their captain.
You want to take a picture of this way? Okay. Come on in. You guys all want.
I think they want a photo with all the council. Yeah. We'll grab these. They want one with all the council.
Maybe not.
Maybe not?
No, I mean there. Okay.
All right.
We have some pumpkins for you all.
Oh my God.
Coach Gary? Oh, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And take one for your daughter as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good
Thanks
job.
very much.
Of
Thank you.
course. Fabulous.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Clerk, what's next?
Mr. Mayor, next item is consent calendar, including minutes, following our routine, and may be acted upon by one motion. Any member of council or the audience requesting separate consideration may do so by making such request before a motion is proposed.
Is there a...
I'll move the consent calendar.
I'm sorry, hold on. I want to pull an item. So I'd like to pull item G. 4G.
4G?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to move the rest of the consent calendar?
Move the rest of the consent calendar.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Council members Agajanian,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Mayor Garpetian.
Yes. Can you read the 4G in the record, please?
4G is Director of Public Works regarding safe routes to school, Phase 3, in connection with spec number 3586. G1 is a motion awarding contract to Vito Samarzic, Inc. in the amount of $908,120.30 and approving a 15% reserve for contingencies in the amount of $136,218.05.
Mr. Sirani?
Yes, so this was in front of us recently, right? We had rejected all the bids because they were non-responsive. And then we asked, so we gave the authority to
negotiate with the top three.
Negotiate with top three. And we set the floor of...
A not to exceed number of 925.
Exactly, so ceiling of 925. What do we base the 925 on?
Our engineer's estimate was, I believe, 985, 990. And so between the contingency that we have as well as what we were hoping to drive the price down to, we set that 925, recognizing we could capture all of the value that we were looking to.
I see. And of the three, only one responded, and now that this is the one in front of us.
That is the resultant that we would recommend to you today, sir.
Okay. I'll move the item unless my
Second.
colleagues have a question.
Roll call, please.
Council members Agajanian,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Mayor Garpetian.
Yes. What's next?
Next is City Council and staff comments.
Any comments?
You?
Councilmember
First?
Devine?
Okay. Thank you. In case you missed it, we had the grand opening of the fantastic $15 million renovation of our central library this week, and it's just amazing, and you'll have to visit and of course, take part in some of the programs that that they are offering for all ages, for young children, and of course, can use your creative juices to use all of the new equipment, 70 computers, and it's just an amazing space. So please go and visit. Also, I want to mention that in the Central Park, right behind the library, our Oshigan's pictorial exhibit of eyewitness is there, and you can walk around and look at the photos. It is made up of photos of survivors and victims of the genocide, and it's absolutely heart-wrenching, but yet glorious. So please take time. I understand it's most beautiful in the evening when the lights are on. It is all solar. It's lit by solar, so they are conserving energy. But it is absolutely worth the time that you spend walking around the park. A couple of other items that I'd like to bring up and ask my fellow council members. Last week, a request was made to rename Sanchez Street to Artsock, and I'd like to ask for a second from one of my colleagues to ask staff to bring back a report for council consideration which outlines the process for changing street names, which discusses all the issues that must be evaluated, including but not limited to diversity, location, cost, and timing. Again, and another is several months ago, I attended the opening of an automated parking facility in Culver City. And recently, we met with members of staff, representatives from a company that installs these facilities. Needless to say, I was very impressed with the technology and thought that Glendale would perhaps benefit from having these types of facilities. And I think, if not right now, but in the future, we will be looking for extra parking. So I think that looking into the automated parking is a step towards the future. So I'd like a second from one of my colleagues to ask staff to bring back a report for council consideration which outlines the process and the requirements for installing such facilities in Glendale and which discusses possible locations and the costs and benefits of such a structure.
When you say installing it in Glendale, what do you
Correct.
mean by Glendale? Where? Is it like
Well, that's what
public?
It's public parking. It would be
In
public
public
parking.
parkings?
So the report would include locations. Mr. Urcho, you want to add to
Only
that?
the direction that, or the discussion that Councilmember Devine and I had predicated on this meeting that she had facilitated was multiple opportunities, either in the downtown on a larger scale, possibly on a smaller scale in alignment with what council members had discussed in the context of South Glendale Community Plan, where we have a number of heavily impacted residential neighborhoods where the infrastructure, the width of the streets, the amount of on-street and off-street parking are lacking. And perhaps if there were parking opportunities that were as efficient as automated parking, they could fit, albeit on a smaller scale, in parts of the South Glendale Community Planning area. And so to the extent that we could align that discussion with the discussion council members have been having and the overall plan process.
So I'd like to have I'm sorry, I skipped over the first one. If I could have a second to the information, the staff report on street name changes. Does anyone?
This is in general terms,
In general
not in
terms,
particular
not in any
a street or a
particular-
name or anything like
Correct,
that.
correct. But let's just find out what the process is.
Or if
and
we have a process.
If we have a process.
I'll
correct.
second that.
Okay. And then this one is on the automated parking facilities. I'm asking for a staff report on, the process and requirements for installing such facilities, locations, and cost and benefits.
I would support a broad view. I don't want staff to get too into the weeds on it, but it's something I don't know too much about. And if we can understand the costs and benefits, and
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I would support it.
Again,
maybe that's what staff has
I want to
in
make it
mind.
a little bit more clear that are we looking into on private properties for such a use, or creating a zone that will allow automated parking structures for city properties? Which
Certainly, I would not presume to speak for Councilmember Devine, but my general understanding is that it could be both. Particularly in the downtown, it could be more focused on public. In the community planning area, it could also be public, but it could also possibly be private for merchant operators to operate their own garages. Automated parking today is allowed in the DSP area, but not outside the DSP area. So we would be looking, as I understood, discussion from a council member would be to look at what we have in stock today, what is allowed, where is it allowed, could it be allowed in other locations, what the application might be.
These are for new projects?
New projects, yes. Yes, and also, they do underground parking, so we can be looking at that element of automated parking as well. Just to have a staff report that gives us as much information, allows us to consider the possibility of automated parking in our community. Not specifically telling us where or when, but just to introduce and give information on automated parking.
I'm okay with that. I mean, it's a broad look at it, and it's a technology that I'm not familiar with. It would be great to learn more about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Several months ago, I requested, with the concurrence of my colleagues, that staff bring back a report for council consideration, which provided an evaluation on the feasibility for providing a tram or a shuttle service that would operate along Brand and Central. In response to that request, staff did prepare a report, and we have been waiting until we have a full council to present it. So now I'd like to ask for a second from one of my colleagues to have staff present that report to council as soon as possible.
We've done the report already?
We've drafted a report. So
bring it forward.
We would bring it forward.
You're not hiding it from us, are you?
No, we would try not to do that.
We were waiting for a full council.
In all honesty, we were joking a little bit, but we were mostly serious this afternoon. It takes us about 6 months to get some of these things done, and so it is in the final stages at this point.
I don't remember exactly when I asked for that report, but it was back, I think, in the beginning
months ago.
of my term. Yeah, I think, yeah. And finally, one more request from my colleagues. The 2 weeks vacation or kind of a holiday has given me kind of time to think. Right. With the proclamation tonight of the Older American Month, I'd like to ask for a second from my colleagues to request a staff report on the feasibility and the need to establish a senior task force. And as I understand from talking to the gals from the ARC, we did have one in the past, which I didn't realize. But I'm asking that we look at that task force possibility of one again, in order and to be done in conjunction. We've just done passed the initiative. We own the health of our community. I think that could be used as part of it, and kind of bring all organizations dealing with seniors together to kind of look at the issues that they have. And I think it's important, a step in the senior quality of life, to have a task force made up of professionals and seniors to address the issues that they have, which are many.
In brief, what do we want?
A senior task force, a report, not a senior task, a report on the feasibility of a task force. Is it necessary? Do we need it?
To include, I would support that, but to include whether the best mode would be a blue ribbon committee, a singular convocation or seminar. If you get even further, I guess there's a commission. It could get commission status, which I'm not in favor of, but let's look at the whole range of, along with what your issue, the different
exactly.
the different range
when would they meet? How
formality
what kind of form staff feels, consulting with everyone, what form this would take? Do I have a second?
Yeah, that would be my second.
Okay.
And that's all I have for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any comments from the rest of the council?
I'll make a comment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So right before we took a week off, at our last meeting, I indicated that I'll be going to China with Eco-Rapid Transit at the invitation of some Chinese rail entities to look at what their capabilities are like and how they can contribute to the construction of the Eco-Rapid line. And I just want to give a brief report on that we visited the city of Guangzhou because the Guangzhou metropolitan system is one of the largest train operators, municipal train operators in China and in the world, willing to step out of their comfort zone and perhaps engage in managing a rail authority or rail system outside of China in the U.S. And we also visited the city of Zhuzhou, which is further north in the Hunan province, and is home to, I believe, the largest locomotive/train car facility, a building construction facility in the world, with the capability to produce 1,000 locomotives a year and another 1,200 train cars a year. And they do it with very high quality and they do it at a relatively cheaper price compared to other producers. Eco-Rapid Transit is one of the projects that are funded by both Measure R and Measure M. Measure R, I believe, is allocating $240 million to Eco-Rapid, and Measure M is funding Eco-Rapid at $4.5 billion. And my colleague, Ara Najarian, who sits on MTA, knows a thing or two about how Measure M is going to work and where Eco-Rapid fits into the whole scheme of transportation projects in the LA municipal area. And currently, Eco-Rapid is one of the highest ranking private-public partnership project for Metro. And I believe our our environmental study was approved by, it's being funded, and it was approved as part of your consent calendar, I believe, right? At the last Metro meeting.
It was pulled.
It was pulled.
But we did discuss it.
You did discuss it in the past, which is great. So we're making great progress. Currently, we have 2 unsolicited proposals from entities, rail entities, international rail entities that Metro is moving forward with. I believe 3 unsolicited proposals had been submitted for Eco-Rapid's first stage, which is the West Santa Ana branch, the southern stage of it. And Metro is moving forward with 2 of them. And from what I hear, and I haven't seen these proposals because they're confidential, at least one of the proposals is very solid and very serious. And we're very excited because finally I can see a light rail project connecting Artesia all the way to downtown Union Station, to Glendale, to Hollywood Burbank Airport. And it's a great project that's going to take a lot of work, but with cooperation with all the member cities. City of Los Angeles has an intention to join Eco-Rapid, and the MTA and SCAG, I believe we can do a lot of work on this and really achieve this project, which will connect us regionally. So that's my report.
So you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel?
I am seeing the light very clearly,
It's
very
not another
distinctly.
train. It's not another train. At least on the same track. At least not on the same track.
Exactly. It is a train, but not on the same track.
Great.
So very excited.
Great achievement. We're very proud of your hard work.
Thank you. And I will be, I am, as vice chair of Eco-Rapid Transit, I am slated to become chair for the next 2 years, starting June of this year. And I intend to push this project forward, again, in cooperation with my colleagues, and bring it as close to, and 2 years is a very short period of time, but bring it as close to completion as possible.
Great. Mr. Najarian?
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone from the city staff that was involved in the Week of Remembrance, culminated with the Armenian Genocide Remembrance event. I think it was a very good program this year, and we try to make each year's program a little bit different. Thank you for the committee that we had, and I think many of you know them. They've been active for several months leading up to this event. Dan Bell had rotated out as chair, and Eliza Papazian took over the reins. And she did an excellent job. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I would like to let the public know that it's in these 4-year election cycles that many of the boards and commission terms come up. And I would invite everyone who is interested in serving in a board or commission to go to the clerk's office or even online. Please make an application. I'm not saying that I'm throwing out any of my current commissioners. I'm not saying I'm keeping any of my current commissioners. This is a very great opportunity for someone who wants to get involved in the city of Glendale to become involved in a particular field of expertise. And we've got, 12 commissions, 14, something like that. That we seat and that we populate with members of the public. So please feel free to submit an application, and once I get them, we'll be I will be deciding who the best fit is for each commission. So please send in your applications. Thursday, I am going to be speaking before the League of California Cities LA Division about transportation and Measure M and how regional transportation lines, rail lines, transit lines can begin, how they can get through the entitlement process and find construction funds for their successful completion. That will be Thursday. And next week, I intended to have something this week, but I just don't have it. I didn't have enough time. I would like to give the community an update on the construction on the I-5 HOV lane, which is basically in and around the western border of Glendale as we speak. And we can learn about that construction and when it's slated to be completed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sagarjania, do you have anything to add? Okay. And what's next, please?
We have, Mr. Mayor and Council, we have community event announcements.
I have 2 cards. Mr. Rodriguez.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council members, and staff. I am Steve Rodriguez, Code and Compliance Inspector for the Community Development Department, and I am here tonight to remind everyone of the Pet Wellness Clinic that will take place on Saturday, May 20th from 10 a.m. to 12:30. We are partnering with the Pasadena Humane Society. The clinic will be held at the parking lot behind City Hall building, which is located at 613 East Broadway. Free parking will be available at the Civic Center parking garage, located at the corner of East Wilson and North Glendale Avenue. The clinic will provide rabies vaccination for cats and dogs for $8. Keep in mind, dogs must be at least 4 months old and cats at least 3 months old to receive the vaccination. In addition, 5-in-1 and Bordetella shots will be available for dogs for $15 each. For cats, 4-in-1 shots will be available for $15. Microchipping will also be available for $20. Make sure your pets are on a leash or in a carrier. We encourage all dog and cat owners to attend and take advantage of these amazing prices. We will hope to see you at the Pet Wellness Clinic, and I appreciate you having me come in and then make this announcement.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next speaker is V. Valentine.
Mr. Mayor, this is for oral communication, the 3-minute portion.
Okay.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Victoria Valentine, and thank you, Mr. Najarian, for allowing me to speak tonight. I have 3 things. Number 1, I'd like to give Mr. Zern a present. Why? He took a good care of Chevy Chase recently. This Chevy Chase book is not as good as the first one. It clearly shows the love and human effort, the hard, back-breaking work that went into laying out such a beautiful road. Well, I'm glad I livened it up. And also shockingly that the tornado-type winds did not knock out the power at my house. So good job, Mr. Zern. But I will be back about my concerns as to my drinking water next time. Number 2, the weed whacker cleared one parcel on the hillside. The wind blew this 32 fluid ounce Gatorade bottle down from the hill. I opened to rinse it, and I was shocked to find out that it contained gasoline in it. The gardener must have used it to run the plow. Question, isn't it dangerous to leave soda bottle filled with gasoline in 90-degree heat outside? I hope that the fire department takes a notice of this. Would they even care? Can anyone come out and speak in plain English about the safety in the canyon? If not the fire department, the police should be monitoring those weed whackers. Number 3, I'm putting Glendale on a new notice. At about 5 p.m. April 24, the wives came to pick up their husbands from work at the construction site at 2564 Chevy Chase. The children were honking the horns, but Papi did not come. What came was a huge truck with 20 feet high walls speeding up the corner of 2550 Chevy Chase. Then I heard a horrible braking, burning brakes, and smoking tires. If this truck did not have good alignment or good brakes, 2 young families would have been wiped out. The children were in the streets. Mr. Edward Hago Biyan and Julio from the city, in charge of the Greenwich and Chevy Chase houses, they need to be concerned. No traffic signs from the city of Glendale. Yes, Paul is still dead. Paul is dead. He is still dead.
Ms. Valentine, would you wrap it up, please? Your time is up.
The question is, which phase is the safe route to my home at? Which phase, Mr. Manager? And I won't charge $1 million for the phase. Maybe a couple hundred. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the cards I have. What's next, please?
Next on the agenda, under action items, 8A is Director of Public Works regarding Ocean View Boulevard Rehabilitation Project in connection with specification 3600. 8A1 is motion awarding contract to Paul Pink DBA Excel Paving Company in the amount of $1,374,873.60, approving a 15% reserve for contingencies in the amount of $206,231.04 and rejecting all other bids. At 2 is a resolution of appropriation.
Who's going to?
Yes, sir. I will lead off, and our city engineer will come and help. Dennis Ambayek will answer any questions you may have. He'll be pinch hitting for Mr. Galanian, who took ill earlier today. You saw on your consent calendar 2 procurements that we had previously where we had problems by way of the submissions and a very regulated process by way of public works contracts. And in some cases, the proposals came in over engineer's estimate. We had to reconfigure what the scope of work would ultimately be. In this case, sometimes you time the market right and you get just the right mix of contractors, and you also have a rather straightforward project. So what this project is for you is essentially a rehab project of Ocean View, along with some traffic modification improvements that tie in nicely with the Vision 2020 capital improvement scheme. We did have a number of bidders on this project. The apparent low bid from Excel Paving, who we have used in the past on other projects and we've been satisfied with, came in, I believe, just under about 1% below the engineer's estimate. So we feel very good about both the contractor, the pricing, and to give you a brief overview on the scope, Dennis will walk you through what the proposed improvements will be.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Dennis Ambayek. Ocean View Boulevard Rehabilitation Project. Ocean View Boulevard is primarily located in the Montrose area of City of Glendale. The limits are between Verdugo Road and the northerly city boundary with the County of Los Angeles. The project is primarily a road rehabilitation project and also a traffic signal modification project. This project will achieve one of the goals of the Montrose Vision 2020. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Yeah, I was at the Montrose Shopping Parks Association meeting that you presented this. They had some concerns about the timing and the length of the project. When are we going to start, and how are we going to accommodate, the holidays and the Christmas season or what have you? Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. The project is going to be starting construction around late June, early July. Will be finished mid-October. If for some odd reason we have adverse weather conditions, we have a stipulation in the specifications that the contractor is required to stop October 15 and continue construction after the shopping moratorium in January 5th, 2018.
I think part of the concern also was with the work that's being done by Caltrans up off the 210 freeway. Initially, I think some of the merchants were saying, well, this is just a lot of construction work. As we walked through that process and the community meetings that we've had as well, the idea was, well, is it better to take the Band-Aid off little by little or try to get all the work done as quickly as you can with the ultimate priority of being out of Montrose and having everything buttoned up and completed before the holiday shopping season? And I think ultimately that was the consensus that we received back from the board as well as some of the stakeholders.
So you're in contact with them as to the planning and the timing and everything? The scheduling.
Very much so. When we had asked Mr. Golanian earlier, had he anticipated anyone who was going to come today to say, no, we still have some concerns, he assured me that no. The project manager and the engineers felt very good that they were able to reach that understanding.
Okay. Any questions?
I'll move the.
Was this usually, I'm sorry, was this, is it off of consent for a reason? Is there, I mean, it's typically, aren't these typically consent? I know we go back and forth, we pull consent.
Sometimes
to
yes, sometimes
action,
no.
and sometimes.
A couple of things. That's a good question because we try to figure out as we go. To the extent this one's a little over $1 million, so it kind of crosses that line in the sand. And then also because we had heard some concerns from some of the merchants. You recall a couple 3 months ago, a gentleman had come and he had concerns at the southern end of this project, and we had to work through those. But essentially, again, it comes down to what's the greater priority: getting done by the holiday season, or protracting and ultimately causing a greater expense for the protraction of that labor. So with those things being the case, possible folks having some concerns, and then the cost, we decided to put it on the evening agenda, sir, or on the action agenda.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
Second.
I move the item.
Roll call, please.
Motion made by Councilmember Devine. Thank you. Councilmembers Agajanian,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Sinanian.
Yes.
Mayor Garpetian.
Yes. What's next, please?
Next item on the agenda, B is General Manager of Glendale Water and Power regarding dark fiber, co-location, and utility fiber optic business plan implementation support. B1 is a motion authorizing to execute agreement with Sequoia Telecom Associates in the amount not to exceed $242,500 plus 10% reserve for contingencies in the amount of $24,250 for a total contract amount of $266,750. B2 is a motion authorizing to execute agreement with Wilcon Operations LLC DBA Wilcon in the amount not to exceed $165,000 plus co-location services in the amount not to exceed $154,000 for a total contract amount not to exceed $319,000 plus a 10% reserve for contingencies in the amount of $31,900 for a total authorization of $350,900.
Mrs. Zern?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Ganley and I are here actually to continue our successful progress towards establishing a business-oriented fiber optic utility. Just a brief history. We have been before you 2 other times. In June of 2015, after a competitive process, we awarded the contract to Sequoia Telecom Associates to do a feasibility analysis and develop a utility fiber optic business plan. They came back with the results in August of last year and then made a presentation to council. In that presentation, we not only had confirmed the feasibility of establishing a fiber optic utility in the city of Glendale, utilizing a lot of our own infrastructure and the experience we have as an electrical utility, and we went forward with a plan to put into place the necessary infrastructure and foundation and for establishing the utility. We developed a 2-phase plan. Phase 1, in which I'm going to turn over to Mr. Ganley, is really the fundamental foundational plan. It sets the basis for us to establish the fiber optic utility, but more importantly, it also gives Mr. Ganley the opportunity to enhance a wide variety of other services that he provides in the city. And then phase 2 is the actual implementation of the plan, which GWP will do, and I'll talk about that after. So with that, I will let Mr. Ganley talk about phase 1.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As Mr. Zern said, we're back for an update on this project, and the part that I'm talking about tonight is the lease of dark fiber down to what's called 1 Wilshire. You'll recall last time I was here at council, we discussed 1 Wilshire being the hub of internet activity for all of Southern California. So what this agreement is about is to work with a vendor who has fiber running along Broadway right in front of City Hall here, and also at the UOC over across town, and to get 2 redundant fiber optic cables from those 2 locations at the city down to 1 Wilshire. That will allow us to do things like what happened at the library that we discussed at the opening of the 10 gigabit high-speed internet connection. That's actually grant funded on someone else's fiber. But going down to 1 Wilshire will allow us, it's step 1 in the process of being able to provide those types of modern high-speed digital services for the city, for a wide range of services, as Mr. Zern mentioned, such as our public safety radio system, our internet usage, our other functionality, as well as the GWP business model to provide high-speed connectivity to some of the technical and other businesses in the city from which we've heard the demand. So step 1 is this 5-year agreement for both the dark fiber lease and for space down at 1 Wilshire, where we would put the equipment that would make all of these things possible.
If I can just add one thing before your question, just by way of context, I think it needs to just be emphasized. When the City Council adopted an economic development strategy back in 14-15, if you recall, one of the things that you adopted, one of the planks in that overall platform was service to business. And if you recall, and Mr. Nanian's nodding, he recalls, the idea was, how do you add value using existing assets to business, especially businesses that we're trying to attract that depend on this type of utility. So over the course of 2 years, going back to those basic policy discussions, you saw something on the horizon, you called a shot and gave direction by way of policy, and you see over a regular period of time from 2015, when we entered the contract with Sequoia, to the time in 2016 when that report came back, to right now where we're looking to actually do this lease and bring on the vendor to help make the connections that Mr. Ganley's talking about. We talk all the time. We talk during the budget meeting. We'll talk again next week during the budget meetings. Council sets policy, and those policy wheels turn sometimes slowly, but they do turn, and they ultimately will lead down to goals, opportunities like this to add value. So congratulations to you all for being able to have that foresight and turning these guys loose. They aren't just here as male models.
Councilmember Sinania?
The ultimate successful implementation of this program can put us into a position of providing a utility, right? The high-speed internet will be that utility.
Correct.
Where we will provide internet connection that's much faster than anything that any cable company or whoever it is that's providing it now, phone companies that are providing it to businesses, right?
Yes.
And that's the
correct.
goal, right? I mean, I'm very excited about this. I'm so glad that we're moving forward step by step, and I don't know, this is great.
So if I could, just one brief on the phase 2, and I won't bore you, and you can ask the questions, but once Mr. Ganley completes that, some of this work will be concurrent. As I said, this is a business base. We're looking at those high-tech users in the business community. That's where we felt it was most viable to put together a utility of this type. We'll offer dark fiber, the switched internet, and direct internet access. We can offer a very competitive service, a very stable service. We put behind it GWP's reliability, maintenance history, a local firm that businesses can deal with, and we can offer a high rate of service. 10 gigabytes, I think, is what we were talking about, which is very attractive to the business community. At the same time, we can make a little money.
Yep.
I mean, that's the bottom line. We can make a little bit of money. We figure that we will have a positive income of over 7 figures for this. And that's money that can be used for not only to invest back into the utility, it can be used for other things too. Because to the best of my knowledge, Mr. Garcia, this is not
It's not regulated
covered by any other current regulation. At least it isn't today. So again, another benefit to this service.
Will this also give us a competitive advantage over other municipalities that are vying for the same types of industries, like IT industry, Or do they already have this and we're merely catching up? What's happening?
In some cases, and Brian has, through his workings, interactions with the other agencies, Burbank, for instance, we use them as a model. So they have this. And I think other entities are looking harder and harder at this, especially those that have municipal utilities. But I think this is going to put us in a really advantageous position.
There are relatively few cities that have their own electrical utility and thus have the relative inability to operate in this space. And I think that'll give us, we're playing a little bit of catch up, but we're still pretty well ahead of the pack.
And I think we've heard, for what it's worth, that Burbank is very interested and anxious at us pursuing this. So in that alone makes me think this is a really good thing.
So what parts of the city are we going to provide this service?
Right now, what we're looking at is
it's a fiber optic. It's a fiber optic. You have to run it through the streets and
we are going to have coverage in the full
basically.
City. One of the last of the infrastructure that we have to put in is to secure the redundant loop from the north to the south, and we'll do that on an overhead basis with infrastructure that's used for the electrical system that we built into it, the ability to put the fiber on. Once that's complete, that's really the main crux of our infrastructure. We will have a complete loop in the city, and as Mr. Ganley indicated, when Wilcon comes in and makes that connection through both the UOC and right here in downtown, we've got the redundancy built in for the main connection.
Are this only for businesses or the residents can use it too?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The businesses is where we focused. If you might recall, the report had looked at the potential for residential, but it just wasn't a viable option for us for a number of reasons, cost and the competitive nature of going up against the cable industry and the AT&Ts and the Verizons of the world who can provide that service a lot better than we can.
Is that the broadband? Is that what that is? When we go into the homes and the residents, broadband?
That's a term, yes. But we did look at it. It just isn't feasible for us. Mr. Ganley can talk a little bit more because he's done studies at a lot of utilities and cities, albeit some of them large and some of them small. This sometimes works in those remote rural areas, but in larger cities it just hasn't panned out. One exception is somebody will bring up the Chattanooga case, and as Mr. Ganley and I were talking about, they received over $300 million in grants and bonds to do that. So if you can imagine that kind of a price tag. So that's not where we wanted to go. We think this is our niche. We think we can be very competitive and very attractive when it comes to business.
Well, somewhat of a tangential question, but will this make it possible for us to provide Wi-Fi coverage for at least downtown Glendale? Public Wi-Fi access. I think Burbank has it downtown, but it's not of very good quality. Can we have legitimate Wi-Fi coverage in downtown Glendale?
This would be very helpful for making that happen because it would be that connectivity that provides the high-speed access that we would want to provide a better experience than some of the other public Wi-Fis that are out there.
Okay. Good.
Question? So the reason I'm smirking, who remembers the campaign? And Mr. Rakajanian, remember our candidate, Mike Van Gorder, would continually talk about this and raise the Chattanooga. This was his idea to get us out of any PERS debt and so forth. And kept mentioning the Chattanooga model, but he did not mention that they had a $300 million subsidy to make it happen. However, I know that if he's watching, he would be pleased in his progressive heart of his that we are installing the dark fiber and making a portion of the otherwise private cable internet service business part of our GWP. So I think that's great. I think it helps the tech development, the downtown public Wi-Fi. It's countries across the cities across the country and the world have it. Yeah, so I think it's a great addition. Plus our healthcare. I mean, I'm sure our hospitals and large employers, and not to mention the municipal services, would have great use for it.
The key is for us to take advantage, as you directed, take advantage of the assets we already have. Wring every last bit of value out of those existing assets and infrastructure. And that's basically what this is. So it's a shot that you called, it's a shot that we're hitting. So
I'll move the item.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Council members Agajanian?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Najarian?
Yes.
Sinanian?
Yes.
Mayor Garpetian.
Yes. And what's next on the agenda?
Is there any new business?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, oral communications, but no cards were submitted for this portion. Is there any new business?
New business. Mr. Mayor, I move that the claim of Yvonne Hart be compromised and resolved for the full and complete amount of $10,315.52, and the same is hereby approved and accepted, and the finance director is authorized to issue a warrant in said sum payable to the claimant for delivery by the city attorney upon the execution of a settlement and release agreement.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Agajanian?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Najarian?
Yes.
Sinanian?
Yes.
Mayor Garpetian.
Yes.
And I would move that the claim of Come for Care be compromised and resolved for the full and complete amount of $13,632.78, and the same is hereby approved and accepted, and the finance director is authorized to issue a warrant in said sum payable to the claimant for delivery by the city attorney upon the execution of a settlement and release agreement.
Second.
Councilmembers Agajanian?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Najarian?
Yes.
Sinanian?
Yes.
Mayor Garpetian.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the claim of Delta Commercial Realty be compromised and resolved for the full and complete amount of $37,548.60, and that the same is hereby approved and accepted, and the finance director is authorized to issue a warrant in said sum payable to the claimant for delivery by the city attorney upon the execution of a settlement and release agreement.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Agajanian?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Najarian?
Yes.
Sinanian?
Yes.
Mayor Garpetian.
Yes. What's next?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
You're adjourned.